Welcome back to Indiana Diecast Racing and the Final Fantasy Fracas. Today, we narrow the field down to the final 16. And here's who's competing. We've got the three groups on the right for the second part of round 4. We've already said goodbye to Dogtown Racing and Golden Owl Racing, and we'll probably see a couple more depart the tournament as well. Jumping right into Group 4 of this fourth round, the first driver today is Dragon Ball G, driving his The Nash for G4 Diecast Racing. He's got 8 out of 12 lap victories, and he was perfect in round 1. From Arlo Racing, it's Topher in his Grand Cross. All competitors he's previously raced have been eliminated from the tournament. And the last man standing for Rust Belt Diecast, it's Bay City Daryl in his Nerve Hammer. He placed second to Flip in round 2. And one of a million Numbskull racers, this one of his bubble gunners, it's Numbskull. He placed second to Motor Toms earlier in the tournament. So we've got Dragon Ball G, Topher, Bay City Daryl, and Numbskull to get us started. Topher charging hard into turn 2, and he's going to cut. He almost comes down in front. Dragon Ball G is challenging. Dragon Ball G maintains the lead. Topher drops in behind and is challenging. They come down the final straight, and it's Dragon Ball G, Topher, Numbskull, and Bay City Daryl. Dragon Ball G and Bay City Daryl got a good start, but it sure looked like Topher was going to make good use of that steeper crossover lane. They enter turn 2 almost simultaneously, and Dragon Ball G is able to hold more momentum and eventually secures the front space in Echo Base. So G4 Diecast Racing on top after 1. Lap 2 with Bay City Daryl on the pole. He's got Numbskull giving him a push from behind. We'll see if Dragon Ball G can come down and make the pass. It doesn't look like he's going to do it, and Bay City Daryl leads for the first time today. Numbskull is all over him. It's a battle of the blue cars. They round the final turn, and it's Bay City, Numbskull, Dragon Ball G, and Topher. So after 2, Dragon Ball G still holds the lead. He's only 1 point ahead of Bay City Daryl and Numbskull, and 2 ahead of Topher. Numbskull on the pole for lap 3. And he's pulling away from the group very quickly. No one's going to challenge him in turn 2. And it looks like it's Topher and Bay City Daryl for second. Looks like Topher forces Bay City Daryl out of the way. Numbskull's going to easily win lap 3. Topher takes second. Bay City Daryl a little squirrely, but takes third. And we've got our first DNF of the day as Dragon Ball G has come off the track over there in whatever turn that is. 6, I think? A strong lap from the front for Numbskull, and quite the battle for second going through Hoth and Echo Base. Looks like Bay City Daryl nearly rolls over or departs the track. He's an interesting guy to watch, that's for sure. So after 3, Numbskull jumps out to a 2-point lead. Bay City Daryl and Topher tied for second, and Dragon Ball G, after winning the opening lap, has dropped all the way back to 4th. And Numbskull's going to blast out front again. Woo! And Topher's in second, but Dragon Ball G is right on his bumper. Bay City Daryl's in the back. Numbskull is going to coast to the group victory. Oh, Topher spins. Still manages to take second just ahead of Dragon Ball G. And Numbskull and Topher will advance as the winners of this group. And Dragon Ball and Bay City Daryl both put up 8, so they will both be added to the wild card board. That will effectively knock Cookie Monster out with only a score of 7. 2 more groups to go. It's not Group 2, it's definitely Group 5. And headlining is Rumble from Arlo Racing in his, a baseline. He's won 8 out of 12 laps. And then the last man standing for the home team, it's Raggedy Man in his Lethal Diesel. He's won 6 laps and finished second to Sneaky Bob in round 3. Numbskull gets right back on track in another bubble gunner. This one finished second in round 1, then trounced his competitors in round 2 and 3. And it's the car that will not be eliminated, Louisa, driving for Vapor Racing. She was knocked out in round 1, then won bracket 3 of the wild card, and then finished first in round 2 and round 3. So we've got Rumble, Raggedy Man, Numbskull, and Louisa. Rumble quickly out front, and he's pulling away, Numbskull in second. They round Echo Base. Raggedy Man giving chase, but not closing the distance. Coming down the final straight, it's Rumble. Numbskull. Oh, Louisa takes third as Raggedy Man has inverted on the final straight. We'll take a quick look at the replay to see what happened to Raggedy Man. Doing okay. Oh, he hits like a track seam or something and just like somersaults through the final turn. That's a bad way to start the day of racing for him. Rumble on top after 1. Numbskull assumes the pole for lap 2. He gets a good jump into turn 2 and comes out with the lead just ahead of Rumble. Rumble giving a close chase as they round the Savage Square. Coming down the final straight, it's Numbskull, Rumble, Louisa, and Raggedy Man. Raggedy Man gets the lap completion this time, but after 2, Rumble and Numbskull are tied atop the group with 7. It's an all-lethal diesel inside lane with Louisa and Raggedy Man. Points leaders Numbskull and Rumble in the other lane. And Numbskull just able to squeeze his way out front. And Rumble passes Louisa as well. These guys could put this one away right here. Numbskull wins. Rumble is second. Ooh! Louisa gets some help from Raggedy Man and takes third. Raggedy Man himself is fourth again. Numbskull and Rumble putting up quite the fight in turn 2 and through Hoth. And Louisa just not able to do enough to stay out front. She gets sideways on the final straight and looks like she's headed for a DNF. But Raggedy Man comes down and gives her a shot in the back and gets her across the line. Rumble now leads 3 points ahead of Numbskull. Raggedy Man still with the chance, but it's a long one. He leads on the pole for this lap. And coming around turn 2, he stays out front. Raggedy Man leads. Rumble is second. Louisa third. Numbskull fourth. It's a close group. And that's how they'll finish on lap 4. Louisa and Numbskull fast around turn 2. Very nearly get out in front of Raggedy Man and Rumble, but can't quite pull it off. Rumble wins the group. Numbskull a close second. Looks like this will be the end of the tournament for Raggedy Man, but Louisa puts up 8 and also adds herself to the wild card standings. We've got 5 up there now and only 2 spots available. We head to the final group. And first up, it's Flip from Flips Racing in his Zoom In Frankenstein. This guy has just been dominant in every round so far. And another Arlo driver, it's Crystal Zeddy in her Audacious. In round 3, she had to win a runoff to advance. And last man standing for Uncle Elvis Racing, it's Ryan in his Fastmaster. He was kind of average in rounds 1 and 2, but really strong in round 3. And from G4 Diecast Racing, it's Googly G in his Country Club Muscle. He barely survived round 1, and then we took off some eyes on the side, and he got a whole lot faster. It's Flip, Crystal Zeddy, Ryan, and Googly G. Flip really fast so far. Oh, Ryan catches him at a turn 2. Makes things a little bit closer. Googly G way in the back. Flip pulling away. He'll take lap 1. Ryan takes second, and Crystal takes third just ahead of Googly G. Ludicrous speed, go! And after one, Flip from Flips Racing on top. Ryan assumes the pole for lap 2. Flip on the outside. He gets a good start, but Flip is flying away. He makes the pass. No! He almost makes the pass, but Ryan regains some momentum. So does Googly G, and Flip falls back to third. Ryan rounds the final turn. It'll be Ryan. Ooh! I think Googly G just edged out Flip for second. And Crystal ZD a close fourth. Man, it sure looked like Flip was going to run away with this lap, but he slowed way down in turn 2, enough that Ryan and Googly G were able to regain their positions, and Ryan jumps out to a 1-point lead over Flip, Googly G in third with 4, and Crystal ZD in fourth with 3. Googly G leads the group on lap 3, and here comes Ryan. I think Ryan's going to make the pass. He sure does. Googly G settles into second. Crystal now third. Flip way in the back. And Googly G all over Ryan's bumper. They come down the final straight. And it's Ryan, Googly G, Crystal, and Flip. A great crossover lane lap for Ryan. And he puts it to really good use. Flip, with that really long car, just unable to maintain speed around turn 2. And Ryan locks in his spot in the next round. It's a race for second between Flip and Googly G with 7 and Crystal ZD with 5. Crystal leads for the first time today. Will she hold it through turn 2? She does! Arlo Racing now out front, followed by G4, Flips, and way in the back is Ryan, not taking any chances with this car. Oh, Crystal slides across the line on her roof to win lap 4. Looks like, I think she must have gotten up on the wall, and Googly G helped her complete the rollover, and Ryan wins the group. Googly G takes second, but Flip and Crystal ZD both put up 9, and that means they will take 2 of the 4 wildcard spots just based on points. The other 5 drivers will have to battle it out for those final 2 spots. So we've got some bonus racing today. It's another wild card duck-off. We've got Bree Nenner, Sneaky Bob, Dragon Ball G, Bay City Daryl, and Louisa. This is the first time I think we've ever run a 5-car group here at IDR. Bree Nenner leads for FPD Racing. She's a 3-time winner. Oh, and I think Dragon Ball G is wrecked. And Bree Nanner's going to limp across the line for the win. And we've got a quadruple DNF to open the wild card racing. That's going to give Bree Nenner 5 points since there's 5 cars. We'll take a closer look to see what happened here. Dragon Ball G solidly in second ahead of Louisa. Oh, and he just wrecks in turn number 5, and everybody else gets caught up. So Bree Nenner with the 5-point handicap out front of everybody early with 4 laps to go. Dragon Ball G of G4 Diecast Racing on the pole for lap 2. And he's well out front. He's going to come out of turn 2 with the lead. Louisa slots into second with Bree Nenner third. And Dragon Ball G successfully navigates turn 5, takes a bump from Louisa, but wins the lap. Then it's Louisa, then Bree Nenner, and then I think Bay City Daryl, followed by Sneaky Bob. So Dragon Ball spins around, nearly blows another lap, and looks like Bree Nenner is ahead of Bay City Daryl. So after 2, Bree Nenner leads with 8. Dragon Ball G is second with 5. Those are the top 2 currently. Louisa on the pole for lap 3. She's going to lead the 3-car train into turn 2. Here comes Dragon Ball G, but Louisa maintains the lead. Bay City Daryl slots into second. They round the Savage Square, and it's Louisa, Bay City Daryl. Ooh, Sneaky Bob takes third. Bree Nenner is fourth as Dragon Ball G explodes on the final straight and will take another DNF. A solid lap for Louisa. And, yep. Dragon Ball just gets up on the wall and then hits that track divider and wrecks. Breenanner still in the lead, but down only one ahead of Louisa, who jumps ahead of Bay City Daryl for second. And coincidentally, Bay City Daryl on the pole for this next lap. Louisa's challenging in turn 2. And I think Bay City Daryl comes out in front. Louisa is second. It's a close battle. They're rounding the Savage Square, come down the final straight. And, it's Bay City Daryl, Louisa, Dragon Ball G, Sneaky Bob, and Bree Nanner. Lots of chaos on this lap. And Louisa nearly passes Bay City Daryl in turn 2 for the outright lead. That would have helped her a lot, though she did finish second, so it's only 1 point difference. Bay City Daryl nearly wrecks an Echo Base again. So after 4, Louisa jumps out to the lead for the first time, and Bay City Daryl and Bree Nanner tied for second with 11. And remember, only 2 out of these 5 drivers will advance as wildcards. And Bay City gets a push from Louisa. He shoots out front just ahead of Sneaky Bob. Sneaky Bob has been running a very quiet race so far in this group. And it looks like Bay City Daryl will take the final lap, followed by Sneaky Bob, Louisa, and Bree Nanner. Yep, and Dragon Ball G has wrecked for the 3rd time this group. That'll be the end of his tournament. And Louisa and Bay City Daryl tie for the group victory. They will advance as the other 2 wildcards, joining Crystal ZD and Flip. So there's your final 16. We will say goodbye to DRT3K and Indiana Diecast Racing. This has been Jim D for Indiana Diecast Racing. Be sure to check in next time for more slightly above mediocre diecast racing and the quarterfinal action of the Final Fantasy Fracas.